All right, Dave Rothschild, photographer and musician from Virginia, and today we're going to look at Matt Day's book, Surveyor. I wanted to do this first impressions, sort of kind of my thoughts as I'm going through the book for the first time for Matt. I wanted to give back to Matt and share my thoughts about his book, which I was excited about. The cover image definitely got me intrigued, as well as the title. The title indicates sort of a democratic approach, if you will, not unlike, say, William Eggleston or the New Topographic School of Photography, someone like Gregory Conniff, just to name one example, or even John Goshage. The book has like a cloth cover, which has a nice soft texture to it. It's hard though, there's not a lot of texture in between the book board and the cloth, and it's relatively thin, but thick enough that there's going to be a good amount of photographs in here. And I like this part here with the name and the title and the little line in between. I like the color as well, like sort of the light beige. So we're gonna go ahead and go through this. Let's see. To be honest, I'm not sure what this is. This image kind of surprised me a little bit. At first I thought it was like a close-up of a coin, but there may be some deeper meaning to this as to why he chose to shoot this. I'm not really sure if it's something local in Ohio he's referencing, but I don't quite know. It's a little mysterious. Then we have sort of the title page, very simple. And then it really opens up. I like his responsiveness here. He's photographing a space and he's ready with his camera when those birds fly into the frame. I like that sort of attentiveness to a place where there's something that does take place that takes the landscape or place and elevates it a bit, and in this case I think the birds do. And it's a really big juxtaposition from that first sort of small focused detail image to this open space, kind of very inviting. And I'm not sure if he's shooting this on film or both digital and my guess is he shot it on film, but I don't know for sure. That's a beautiful tree shadow. It's a really old tree with a lot of growth, like coming out in all directions. It looks like there's some, it's very grainy. And this is an interesting juxtaposition as well. And this is a close-up of a tree with some lines and bark, and it's an interesting shot. And here we're kind of having repeating size and display. I gotta be honest, I wasn't expecting these kind of like full page photographs where every inch of the top to the bottom of the page was covered. I was thinking it'd be more a lot like this, but he has changed it up to my surprise for sure. And this is barbed wire. I'm sure like in Ohio, just like in my towns, that I explored in Virginia, a lot of, kind of barbed wire, farmlands, things like that. And then this really kind of brings to mind something like Mikhail Schmidt's work in Nature, or John Goshage in The Pond, for example. Just every kind of gray tone and harmony all kind of flowing in a beautiful way. That is a really tremendous shot. Really, really beautiful shot. And I really like the soft kind of focus here, the shallow depth of field, focusing on that open expanse in the distance of the farmland or field. But he's chosen a more intimate kind of view next to this tree, which creates some separation. And then we have the cover image. There's something in here that stained the page. I'm not sure what that is, like a mark or something like that. That's fine, just interesting. Bullet holes in the back of a sign. It's kind of like art in its own way. It's not something you see every day, and it kind of creates a random pattern. In this case, he's chosen the sky as the backdrop for this kind of piece, which is nice. And I really do think that works tremendously well in black and white, that type of shot. Again, the full display here. So far, this has only been on this side, nothing over here that I can recall. This is an interesting sort of angle. It's a little bit an odd angle, I would say, not in a bad way, but sort of like maybe from the road, but kind of approaching it a little bit off center. Like instead of coming at it from the corner or coming at it from around the other side, it's kind of like you want to go this way a little bit, but you're not quite there. It's an interesting angle. It definitely makes me kind of explore it a little bit more. And then these are two photographs. This one right here is just very much like Appalachia or Virginia to me, where you see these beautiful old growth trees with vines and fields along the road, and it's a site that I'm very familiar with. It does feel more open and flat than what I'm used to because of me being closer to the mountains, which is what I really like about it. It really displays this tree. This tree has a lot of like beauty and flow, and it's just a really nice shot. I'm wondering if he shot all this in medium format film or digital, not too sure. Looks like a little bridge here, and I just noticed the shoes in the tree. And this is why you buy books, because like this image here, like on a small screen on your phone, you might not notice the shoes and all the details, but in this setting, it's great. So there's definitely a celebration of kind of the natural spaces in Ohio, assuming this is all in Ohio, which I'm assuming. You can see the mountains in the distance here. There's a river. The gray tones, the silver tones, and that water is absolutely gorgeous. There's a lot of detail. I'm guessing this is medium format, but just a really beautiful space. Really beautiful space that is captured here. I love that bark. Wondering if that's the same bark from the previous tree that was closer up. And now we have a complete surprise where we have the biggest image we've seen so far, and then another image over here. And the first time we've had an image fill the page on this side. Very close up of a puddle. And then we sort of have this side of this old rail bridge. You know, you have this road and you have this kind of bridge for the train pretty close to being in sync with each other, which is kind of, I see what he was doing there. This is an interesting spread. I mean, it threw me off a little bit at first, but it makes a lot of sense. You've got the circles here, the circles here. So it does have a nice flow to it. Wondering why he chose to make this so big. I guess just to bring you closer to the puddle, which is where he's focused, but it's an interesting juxtaposition. And then this is looks very grainy, looks like film. You can see it in the sky and the gray tones, just the open field, likely in winter, maybe late fall. And again, a site that I'm very familiar with here in Virginia. Just kind of celebrating the quiet places in rural America, which just lend itself to photography, particularly photography that is quieter, like film. And then this is the first time that this side has gone over to here, which that other image did a couple pages back. Focusing here kind of on this like circle in the corner. You can see a road here, which my eye kind of goes over there a little bit. So it's kind of interesting how he cut it off right there. But there is sort of a mist here. I don't know if that's dust or smoke or what, but it definitely adds a little bit of atmosphere in the image. And it looks like it's very hot in this photograph. Hard to say, like a summer shot. I've actually photographed something like that in color before, where you have this like kind of road being blocked by this like steel wire, and then there's like a shirt hanging on. I've seen that a lot in the country, and I really like this one. This shirt is very symmetrical, and it's very kind of gives it some personality, like it's on watch and on guard. And that looks like the same scene as before, but during, I guess, the summer. And I really appreciate that. Again, that kind of reminds me a lot of Mikhail Schmidt's Natur work, where you're seeing the same scene in multiple ways. Yeah, it's a beautiful scene. It really, really is. Again, we have the same kind of display where we have this huge photo here followed by a smaller image here, which I haven't really seen in a lot of books, this kind of layout. So it is a little bit surprising at first, not in a bad way again, just kind of throws me off for a second. Not sure what he's doing here, to be honest. I get that it says discover, there's an arrow, and then you have this over here. I'm wondering if this is a close-up of what's over here, because this looks very kind of wild and overgrown, just like this does, and similar kind of, I guess, grasses and flowers there. But this is nice. I mean, this really is reminiscent of something that like Gregory Conniff might shoot as an example. Just a lot of geometry, subframing, a lot of stuff going on. And I really respect that photograph a lot and the way it's framed. And then here we have sort of like an open space heading to the river. Just kind of an inviting image that pulls you in. Drinking clean, it's like a yerba mate, sparkling yerba mate. So far I'm really enjoying this book. I really like kind of the form factor, the vibe, and the work itself. So this feels very, I want to say very Robert Adamsy, but it definitely kind of has more of a warmth than I was expecting. So I'm wondering if this is like a different film type than some of the other shots. It looks warmer to me. And there's a big river here. This looks like a pretty big river. I'm not sure what river Matt lives near. I know the Ohio River is kind of, I would think, further south or further east of where he lives, but maybe that's the Ohio, I don't know. Again, this is very familiar to me. I see a lot of scenes like this along the Shenandoah River, the Potomac River, where I'm from. And it's inspiring. It makes me want to get out and shoot, to be honest with you, because I don't shoot a lot in the summer and spring, and this is like getting me excited, getting me wanting to grab some, like a roll of film and just get out and shoot. And this is actually pretty familiar to me as well. I don't know if that's where he lives, as in Chillicothe, if that's like kind of a view of Chillicothe from up higher. But you see a lot of scenes like this in Appalachia where you get up on a road somewhere and you can look back down into the town. And that's kind of the vibe I'm getting here, which I appreciate with the perspective. And that's really nice. I'm noticing sort of like, I'm wondering if he used any like diffusion filters in some of these shots, because some of them kind of have sort of a hazy softness to them that surprised me a little bit. So I'm wondering if that was done with a filter or what, but you know, this is sort of like you're framing a place with this beautiful natural landscape, and it's very harmonious, very symmetrical, very layered. Everything that inspires me when I look at sort of new topographic type work, particularly more new topographics that focuses more on nature. That type of work really, really excites me, and that's just a beautifully made image. Just a classic shot here of sort of Americana, just like a backstop for a baseball field, which is kind of like Field of Dreams, you know, in the Midwest, where you just kind of have this grassy area and this field in the middle of sort of a field, which is cool. And this is a unique photograph. I haven't seen a lot of images that are like this per se. It's not drawing anything for comparison in my mind. It's just kind of a unique image, and I like what he's focusing on here. And now I think for the first time in the book, we're getting much more into a town. We were sort of outside of a town for the most part, all the way through that I can recall, just like natural spaces along water, open fields. And then as we got closer, you can sense the town is being framed by nature. Now it feels like we're in the town. And if that's what he's doing, that was done exceptionally well, because I wasn't anticipating that, but now I can just sort of sense that that's what's happened. We'll see where it goes, but these are two outstanding shots. This is very, again, new topographic, something like Stephen Shore or Gregory Conniff might shoot. I know I keep bringing that name up, but he's one of my favorites. And then this is just, again, one of those frames. It has a lot of sublayers, subframing, reflection. Just really, really beautiful stuff. Really, really, really happy with this book so far. I'm really enjoying it. Yep, and we're still in the town. We're getting these sort of intimate alley views of a small town in Ohio, assuming this is Chillicothe. And this is good stuff, because it's very busy, it's very urban in a small town kind of way, but yet it's very kind of quiet, which is what I enjoy about it. And now that we've kind of got to the town, so far he's following along this motif where you have two images side by side. They're the same type of image in terms of just photographing in an urban space, in alleyways and corners, and they're all just, the spreads are just two images. And then for the first time, we just have the singular image, but still kind of walking around the town. Again, this is the kind of photograph that I really, really enjoy. Just as a photographer's photographer, it just kind of celebrates everything I love about photography. It has like a harmony, a flow, a symmetry. There's a lot going on in terms of subframing, but it's all brought in together by those four borders in a frame to make it a good picture, which is just, it's inspiring. And then we have a moving train on a really kind of open road here. I'm wondering if we're now leaving the city. Obviously, the railroad plays a huge role in the inner parts of the country. So maybe that's something that Matt sees a lot in his town. And then we're back in the town now. So that railroad was a little bit of a departure from everything else. It just kind of felt like we were in the town, and then all of a sudden we were out on the outskirts again. Like a lot of railroad places are on the outskirts, and then all of a sudden we're back in this intimate town. So that's an interesting choice there. I'm not sure if that was intentional or not, or what he was going for, but that was an interesting. I was thinking actually that we were about to leave the town as one possibility, but the fact that we're back is kind of surprising and not a bad thing at all. This is just, you're focusing on reflections, the American flag, storefronts, just very intimate, detailed views. Looks like they're focused on different angles, sort of the opposite angle from two different places. And then here we're actually focused on a window reflection. And this is one of the more unique images from the book so far. It's very abstract. It reminds me of some of the photographs I've seen from like something like Walker Evans might shoot, or even someone like Ernst Haas, just to name a couple of examples. It also kind of has a Sally Mann-like quality in terms of like her process of getting kind of a messy look to the shot because of her actual chemical process that she uses with her large format setup. So this is not that, but it's reminding me of that. It's a surprising image. It's not like anything else in the book. Really, really nice blacks here, nice gradients of tones. And then we've got another surprising image that's different than the rest of the book. It's the first time, other than that one shot where we were going to the river, that feels like it's very symmetrical in terms of where my eye wants to go, right down the middle, right? and just that hazy backlit vibe that you get with photography. When you shoot that on black and white, it can look really, really cool. You get that halo effect. I love the sort of like highlights here in the fence, the wildness of the path here. Just a really nice shot. It feels like it wants to be the last shot of the book. I don't know if it's going to be because I haven't turned the page yet, but it feels like it wants to be the last shot of the book, and it is. So I think that makes a lot of sense. I really do. And then there's an afterword here, which I'll read in my own time. But I gotta say, I'm really impressed with this book. Overall, just really good stuff. Really inspiring. It's a great. Oh, there's another image, and I shouldn't be surprised by that. A lot of books will do that. It's almost like a farewell image, just to give you one more thing to look at. Another beautiful landscape along the water. But that was just really, really enjoyable. Matt has done a tremendous job with this. I'm super inspired now to get out and shoot. I'll be returning to this a lot to take a look at it. And I get the vibe of it. I really do. It's sort of on the outskirts of town in natural settings, and then you're brought back into town, and then your eye just kind of goes away as you walk away. So it made sense to me, and I'm super happy with this. So once again, this is Matt Day's book, Surveyor. I'm Dave Rothschild. I hope you enjoyed the video.